But when he went down, it was like, what are we doing? Right? Like, what are we doing here? Why is this happening? I had problems with authority when I got back. Kind of like, screw you. Like, how are you going to tell me about combat?
Yeah.
When you've never been there. My underwear got more combat time than you. You know what I mean? Like, learning now is no longer going to be something that I signed up to do anymore, with absolutely being fine with giving my life to it. You know, if I die, I die. Serving my country, that's what I'm doing. And now saying we no longer need you, we kind of broke you.
Yeah.
You didn't mean to, but you broke. So now you gotta go.
Hey, welcome to the Mastering the Military Transition series of the Prize Podcast. My name is PJ, and I'll be your host. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of those who have successfully transitioned out of the military so you can see the tips and tricks necessary to have a successful transition of your own. That way you don't have to stumble across some of the same things that myself and my team at Prize had to struggle with. At Prize, we believe in a world where all enjoy the freedom to grow. That's why we're developing the Prize app. If you'd like to learn more, please check out the prize.vet link in the show notes below. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Hey fam, welcome to our next episode of the Prize Podcast, Mastering the Military Transition series. Today we have Freddy Reed. He is an Army veteran, was in for about 7.5 years, served as a Cavalry Scout.
Oh yeah.
And was deployed to Iraq from 2007 to 2009. Currently, he's serving as a mentor coordinator for the Northampton County PA Veterans Corps, and is the vice commander for the Lehigh Valley chapter of the Veterans Brotherhood. Also a certified Reiki master and trainer, which is pretty amazing. And in March 2025, you were selected to receive the Veterans Hero Award from the Red Cross. And then if that's not cool enough, he also dabbles in photography, which he's been like helping me out a little bit this morning, making sure that we're all set up properly. So hope y'all like the new setup. It is a little bit different. Please drop any feedback if you have it. So thank you for coming on, my friend.
No problem.
To get us started this morning, I'd like to change up questions a little bit just based on some feedback. I would love to know from you, like, what your journey was getting into the military. We'll start there and we'll kind of go through the conversation from there. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thank you. So, you know, growing up as a kid in the high school, military wasn't necessarily my first choice of things. But then in high school, like most high school kids, you start dabbling in, you know, certain things where it's the football and it's the sports. And then, you know, you're not really taking your grades as serious. I was probably maybe a C average student. That's probably being too generous on myself. But afterwards, you know, after high school, you know, I sold cell phones at the local kiosk in the Phillipsburg Mall with the children. Yeah. So I went to Phillipsburg High School, graduated in 2004. And after that, I was just kind of bored. You know what I mean? Selling cell phones, I know, wasn't a career at the end of the day. And it was just a job. And I seen all my friends who took high school seriously, going off to universities and colleges and then growth from there. And I grabbed one of my buddies. I said, hey, let's join the Army, man. Let's get out of here for a little bit. So initially we joined the National Guard, and I signed up for a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. And I went off to Fort Knox, Kentucky in 2005. And that was a blast in itself. And once we completed the OSIT training there, I came back to my National Guard unit. And I was probably there for about 2 months, and I decided, you know, I need to get out of here. Like, I want to go active. You know, I'm still off that fresh hunger from basic training and job training. And I finally decided to go active because I was prior service now. I got to pick my duty station.
Yeah.
Listen, I recommend everybody goes that route, because if you're not sure where you're going to get placed going straight active duty, there's a little pro tip, like go National Guard first, then go active, and then pick your duty station.
Oh, I love that. Y'all heard that?
But so I chose Fort Hood, Texas. I thought I was going to go to first cabs, but they told me I was going first cab when I got to Fort Hood, so I was pretty psyched about it. They were talking about air cab and all these great things. I just felt like I was in my element. And then 3rd Armored Cavalry shows up and says I'm coming with them. So I went from choppers to tanks and Bradleys, which, was still a blessing. But I decided to just roll with the punches. And I was their first soldier that they got in Fort Hood because they just came from Fort Carson, Colorado.
Okay.
So that was pretty great too.
Yeah. And this
buddy with staff sergeants and NCOs. And,
oh no, you were
all just a little pride in second class, right? And but it was cool. I think that gained it gained more confidence in things for me because I was instantly just thrown in with higher up non-commissioned officers.
Yeah.
And a lot of the grunt work, right, was thrown on me because I was the only private there for probably about 2 or 3 months.
Oh wow.
But we built a relationship that I don't necessarily believe the new recruits that came in got. So I kind of got the little upper hand a little bit.
I like that.
Great, yeah.
And you said you joined with the buddy, and I know a little bit of this story.
Yes.
What happened to him?
So he didn't want to go combat. He decided he wanted to be like a finance officer or something like that. And I was like, that's great, man. But back when I chose Fort Hood, his only options were North Korea. North Korea on the brain, right? No, and so his choices were Korea and Fort Hood.
Yeah. And
then I had to pick a litter because most combat MOSs could go anywhere. But he's the one. He said, I want to go to Korea. Come to Fort Hood with me. So I said, absolutely. Like, that works. But then when we got there, they put us on separate deployment rotations. So we really didn't get to see each other that much, but we still tried to stay in contact.
Yeah. No, I bring that up because I think that there's a bunch of us that do that. We join in, we're buddies. Yeah, we're going to go in and do this together. And like, you never see them. Like, that's it. That's the end. You never see them.
That's it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And then you deployed in 2007. Can you walk me through that a bit?
Oh, yeah. So, 2007 hit. So I got to Fort Hood, 2006. And then, they said, listen, we're gearing up. We're getting a bunch of soldiers in, multiple field rotations, gunneries, land nav courses, just all the things we're doing to prepare for deployment. 2007 hit. We were the Army's last 15 months deployment. So we got stationed up in Mosul, in Iraq. And, the great thing about being in a prestigious, awesome unit that is Killer Troop, 3rd Squadron, 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment, very prestigious unit. I'm sure every shooter says they're in it, right? But, Killer Troop always kind of led the way for that squadron, and at least as far as the history books say. And so we were tasked with occupying a combat outpost Rabia. We called it Cop Killer for short because Killer Troop, and right, I'm not saying Rabia all the time, but so Fob Merez was where we were deployed to, but then Killer Troop kind of stayed out there in the combat outpost, and we'd rotate in, every Sunday for a day just to, refill ammo and maybe grab some hot food from the chow hall, and we went right back out to to secure Route Tampa, which is, one of the main highway routes in Iraq. So, as soon as we got there, I'd probably say about 3 or 4 weeks in, the majority of our unit, majority of the squadron got their combat action badges. It was just balls to the wall fighting every single day, whether it was an IED or small arms or RPGs or V-bids was a big thing at the time. And it didn't help that they issued us those great MRAPs that were just humongous school buses, and didn't move as fast. We ended up not really using them as much. We found out that they take out a lot of power lines, and when you're trying to win hearts and minds over there, knocking out their power that's already on a rotational basis, right? It's not the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So
I got one for your heart and mind.
Yeah. So mostly stuck with up armored Humvees like 1151s, and then the Bradleys, hunter killer teams with tanks and Bradleys, and halfway through the deployment, rules of engagement kind of changed a little bit. There was no longer, after curfew, shoot everything walking, right?
Right.
It became more hearts and minds. It became, we're giving you a platoon of Iraqi soldiers, help train them, help try to get them to man their posts and things like that. And little uncomfortable at first, but you know, just like any other person, right? You find ones you like, you find ones that are kind of, not the greatest squared away soldiers. Believe it or not, Iraqi soldiers aren't that squared away, right? Yeah. But there was this one guy I'll never forget. He looked like Burt Reynolds. He was an Iraqi, he was an Iraqi version of Burt Reynolds. Great guy. You could tell, like, he'd be in probably those movies, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, and he made me chai tea every morning. He was always on post with me, even when he didn't need to be. He'd always come on post. And we grew a pretty good relationship, you know what I mean? And I didn't think I was capable of that. So, like, that was a little growth right there on my part because, in the beginning, we got to train Iraqi soldiers, right? Like, that's terrible, right?
Yeah,
that's not the mission. But, it became positive. And, I always had the interpreter with me and we kind of communicate that way. And it was really cool during the chaos. You know what I mean?
How did that shape you? Like that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Just for a second, if we could take that detour, how did like hanging out and developing somewhat of a relationship with this guy on the other side of the world to this your mindset of like, I wasn't coming here to do this.
Absolutely.
Like, how did that shape your mindset or change your,
I didn't know at the time, but it actually put a lot of building blocks in place for me after the military. So when you're in there, you're strictly focused on the mission.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. You're getting tasks and, with scouts, it's a lot of night operations. It's a lot of, during the day, you're kind of just getting ready, right? And then getting briefs. And then at night, you're executing, whether it's detainee transfers or, VIP escorts or raids or whatever it might be. And, but sitting in there and being able to have that bond with somebody, you don't really recognize it until after the fact, because I actually missed the guy when I got home, and it was kind of like, how's he doing? Right? He told me about his family. He had a wife, he had a daughter. It's like, how are they doing? You know what I mean? Even with the interpreters we had, some people have great interpreters, some people have bad ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy I had, we called him Blue, right? We were Blue platoon, so he was Blue. But he was an amazing guy. All the things that he would tell us that, his goals were, because, being an interpreter, you do it so long, you can get your citizenship. And he had plans, to come to America and do great things. And, but it allowed me to see other people in the world out there that aren't necessarily living in the freedoms in which we have in this country.
Yeah.
And, not letting the rules or the chaos of certain countries, of third world countries, war-torn countries, affect them. It just seems like this was everyday life for them. And I'm just constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next sniper round to hit, so it's, it definitely put things in perspective a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's beautiful. I think I
don't say many beautiful things, so.
No, well, I don't know. But I don't know. I do. I think that's beautiful. One of the cool things that I think a lot of us take for granted in the military that we don't like, I don't think that we realize how different it is in the civilian world.
Yeah.
Is we get a huge exposure to lots of different cultures and people and ways of thinking. I mean, we're working with people from all around the country, and then we go and deploy and we meet people from foreign military. And they live very different lives. And I think that actually is a beautiful aspect of the military that a lot of us, I think, probably take for granted.
Yeah.
We get out in the civilian world and sure, camaraderie isn't there in the same way that we had when we're in, even just amongst ourselves.
Right.
But it's also that aspect of like getting, I think, exposure to these other cultures and ways of thinking and ways of being that, I don't know, I kind of miss a little bit. I mean, I remember hanging out with some of the Korean Air Force peeps and like, they were pretty cool, man. Like, I enjoyed hanging out with them. Anyhow, I just think that that's kind of neat. So I appreciate you diving and taking that detour with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you get back from that deployment, talk to me a little bit through that. Like, how was that for you coming back from that?
Yeah, so when we got back, I mean, before we got back, we lost a handful of guys. I lost my best friend. Best friend, I was a specialist at the time. He was a staff sergeant, but he's a 24-year-old staff sergeant. I mean, squared away guy in like a sports deployment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? always said he was untouchable. You know what I mean? And he ended up going down one night, and it was rough. In country, I felt that it was rough. You know what I mean? He was the worst one. My gunner ended up getting killed. A couple other buddies of mine ended up losing their lives. A ton more wounded. So a lot of them had to get sent out to Germany, and then, you know, you don't kind of see them until you get home. But that one hurt a little bit. You know what I mean? That one, my one good buddy, and it was a weird relationship we had, right? It was he wasn't too much older than me, but because of his position, it was kind of like a father figure almost, but also like complete mentor.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when he went down, it was rough. Like it was, I remember like the other guys we lost, it's like, all right, I get it, but that's what happens, right? This is war. We're going to lose guys. We knew that coming into it. This is our job. And, but when he went down, it was like, it kind of just makes you give that little step back where it's like, what are we doing? Right? Like, what are we doing here? Why is this happening? And, I didn't necessarily really feel that on a bigger level until we got back. So we redeploy, we get back to Fort Hood. Things are going well. You know, you're busy just unpacking everything and cleaning everything, doing all your, you know, inventories, which are a nightmare. But now you're going home from work, you're laying in that bed, then you start feeling it. Then you start wondering, you know, maybe what was your reasoning for being over there? I started thinking of that instantly when I got back. Why did this happen? Why did we do this, right? Then the nightmares start kicking in. Then your just general outlooks on life start hitting you a little bit. And then you start recalling the things you had to do over there, right? Then you start worrying about, you know, is your soul going to be saved, right? You had to do things you weren't necessarily proud of, right? And that stuff really starts to get to you. And then being young and dumb in the Army, right? I re-enlisted in Iraq because I was like, this unit's amazing. I love this unit. I still do. Love 3rd Armored Cavalry. I love the history of it. I love that because it's a regiment. It doesn't run as like normal companies and divisions and things like that. It's a little more, when you meet another veterans in the 3rd Armored Cavalry, you're amongst very small population of people, right? Especially if they deployed with 3rd Armored Cavalry. But so you get back and you don't know that I love my unit, I love my leadership, right? When you get back, all the leadership disappears, man. Mm-hmm. They go other units, they move around, and you're stuck with all new incoming people. And I had problems with authority when I got back. People that didn't deploy or have combat patches are trying to boss me around. You know, I was like, you know, and I would have never done this before deployment, you know, but you're kind of like, screw you. Like, how are you going to tell me about combat?
Yeah.
When you've never been there. My underwear got more combat time than you. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think I even said that once or twice. It didn't work out well, but, you know, but I knew there was a problem. I knew that once the nightmares started kicking in, and they were, you know, you're a kid, you have nightmares, you know, they go away. But, the nightmares you have when, you know, you're getting hit, when you're first realizing your post-traumatic stress, right?
Yeah.
They're intense. You can't understand them. You can't wrap your head around them. And they don't stop. There's times I had nightmares and I woke up and I'm still going into the day with flashbacks, like still kicking in throughout that morning. And once that stuff started happening, I had to tell my leadership, I said, listen, something's going on. Don't know what it is, but something's happening to me. And like my whole squared away soldier attitude and, you know, yes, sergeant, no sergeant, yes, sir. That stuff's going out the window and I can't control it. Like, I'm a good soldier, was a good soldier, right?
Yeah.
But, it was, that wasn't there anymore. You know, it was kind of like, no, yes, no, whatever, you know, like, I don't want to hear things. So, they knew it was unlike me. They, sent me to some major up in, you know, the hospital. And, he was like, yeah. It's like, killer troop? Yeah. I understand what you guys been through. And, he's like, you're not the only one for your unit that's been here. It's like, you guys, you've seen a lot. Like, so what we're going to do is I'm diagnosing you with PTSD and you have options here. You could reclass and pick some office job and try to still do your 20 years, or, you know, we medically retire you out. It's like benefits of that, full benefits for you and your kids and family, right? And or reclass, office job, right?
Right.
So that was never me. That was never me. I've never been the guy to sit behind a desk and just exist, you know. And so they throw full benefits out there. It's like, I'll go to the doctor anyway, man. So this works out. Like, that's cool. Then my kids got, my kids got benefits. So cool. So get me out of here. So started the medical board process. That took about 15 months.
Right.
And during that time, they found it more beneficial to transfer you out of the combat units into this place called the Warrior Transition Unit in Brotherhood. And it's a great unit. It's more a little bit of a relaxed atmosphere where, you know, they know everyone's transitioning out, whether it's medical reasons or they're just coming up on their retirement, whatever it might be. And so I went there. First thing they said was there's a reset program. They just started this thing called a reset program in Fort Hood. And it's like 2 weeks. You report there every day and check it out. So I went there. It was pretty insight right off the bat. You walk in and you're just like, what is this place? You know what I mean? Everything smells like lavender. What the hell's going on here, right? Like, what's up? Like, this is the first time smelling sage. I'm like, what is that? Something's burning, right? They're like, no, it's sage. I'm like, all right, I could get into that. And, so it was a reset program where they're trying to reset your brain and calm it down from the wars and struggles that you're currently dealing with. They offered everything from Reiki to reflexology, biofeedback, acupuncture, Tai Chi. These are all like 1.5-hour blocks that soldiers could sign up for throughout the day and experience all these different forms of treatment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it really helped. And it was the first time they've done it. So I believe it still exists there today. But it was just like a whole different approach to what I know now is, you know, healing, right?
Yeah.
Growth.
Yeah.
And they had a therapist in there. You sit with her for an hour. You know, you get an acupuncture. The biofeedback's being hooked up to your brain, and you're trying to use your brain to get a TV screen with a roller coaster on it to complete, right? And just great different modalities of trying to figure out what benefits you, what does, what doesn't, right?
Was there anything in there that felt particularly beneficial?
Well, the reflexology, I mean, that's feet rubbing, you know what I mean? But it's actually, they're doing more, right? They're hitting points and that necessarily, like, your back hurts, they'll rub a point on your foot. That'll make your back feel better, which is crazy to me, right? Yeah. But reflexology was dope. The Reiki, obviously, because now I'm a Reiki master, so I found that extremely beneficial. The Tai Chi was cool. The sound healing, which was really good, which, you know, I still get done to me today.
Oh, cool.
And the acupuncture wasn't really for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see those needles and you're kind of like, oh man, you know, just worried, right? And
were you open to those sorts of things before going?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, interesting.
But
and what changed that?
Just knowing I was out the door, right? Because I knew I had a problem. No one else is going to be able to fix my problem. I knew I had to fix it. So that's my goal. I don't know where to start. So I'm just going to dabble in everything, have tons of stuff to utilize underneath my tool belt. And one of them's going to catch. Right. Has to catch.
Yeah.
So that's what I went going into it, knowing that I was going to be medically retired out. So I did that for 2 weeks, report back to your unit. They say, go back to school or do an internship. Can't stay here for 15 months, right? Which I recommend.
Yeah,
it's absolutely right. Yeah. Because, you know,
things.
Yeah, your mind's sitting there and you're just sitting there. Yeah. Who knows what happens, right? Suicides were on an uptick in Fort Hood at a certain point. And so we went there, told me to do an internship. I'm not going to school. That's what I told them. I'm not going back to school. It's the whole reason I joined the Army, right? I'm not going back to school. So I did an internship. Waco, Texas VA Hospital was offering internships in their human resources department. Absolutely jumped on it. I said, I know that I'm getting medically retired and I'm going to get percentages, but I know they're not going to give me everything I'm going to ask for, right? Yeah. And I don't know everything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get in there, learn all the paperwork, figure out what I'm entitled to. And maybe, you know, I can help other veterans when I get out. That's kind of what set the mindset for me to start helping veterans. And
Cool. Okay.
yeah, so I got in there for about 15 months. I just learned all the paperwork. They offered me a job to work there afterwards, but I was relocating back to Pennsylvania with my family, and I just took all those tools that I gained and the knowledge of the VA paperwork, beast that it is, and brought it back home. And then I started my life up in quiet old Wind Gap, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit different. Not far from Phillipsburg, New Jersey, but it's a whole different lifestyle.
Well, I can appreciate your quiet, man.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm with you on that. I'm not a city person at all. I want to back up a little bit. I think it really is cool that you weren't necessarily very open-minded to some of this stuff and then went into it and found something that worked for you. I think that there's a lot of people that go into this thinking like, oh, it's woo-woo, it's not going to work for me. And I also think that going in with that sort of mindset sometimes precludes it from working.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can take that step back and, take this for what it's worth, but swallow the ego and say, okay, I need help. This might work for me. And what's the worst case?
Right.
I'm back at square zero.
Yeah.
But I tried. Yeah. I think that that's really cool that you did that. And I'm curious, especially with Reiki, which is a Reiki. I never say it right. Reiki.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was that point in the process where you were like, oh, there's something to this?
So I'll first start it off by saying I'm an extremely stubborn person. Most of my family, my kids could tell you that, my girlfriend could tell you that. But I just tried salmon 2 weeks ago for the first time in my life. You know what I mean? That's how stubborn I am.
Oh, I love it. Right? Thanks for admitting that on camera.
Dude,
yeah.
I just tried salmon for Father's Day.
And what did you think?
Amazing.
Yeah.
What the hell have I been doing, right? Like, I don't like fish. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Finally, for Father's
It's
Day.
amazing what those beliefs can do, right?
Dude. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I was like, cool. I don't need to touch that. I got my 4 basic food groups, man.
Right.
Pasta, pizza, mozzarella sticks, and and cookies, right?
Yeah, right.
No, but dude, I tried it, and I was like, I was almost sad. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, the hell have I been?
Yeah, man.
This thing's
I hear
delicious.
I hear you.
Shout out Widow's Tavern, right? I mean, amazing smoked salmon. It was amazing. But anyways, so when I was getting Reiki done at that reset center, nice little old lady, like I said, hands smelled like lavender, the whole room smelled like lavender, right? But I had problems being touched. I didn't want to be touched. People touch me, adrenaline goes through the roof. I'm ready to fight, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I noticed that about me. And the reason I tried that is because they said, there's no touching involved. It's just literally like energetic healing. Well, let me try that out. So I remember laying on the bed the first time and faces down, and all of a sudden I just start feeling this heat. This heat's being generated. And I'm like, what's going on? Does she have like a heat pad or something over top of me or something like that? And I just started feeling it move throughout my body, and it was her hands. Like she was literally generating heat with her hands, but just balancing over top of me. And after the first session, I looked at her and I said, what did you do? Like, what is that? What was all that heat and stuff? She's like, well, with Reiki, when you're properly attuned, right? And you're in touch with the energies of, universe and things like this. They're like, there's attunements that you get while you progress through your program. And you're able to literally move people's negative energy and replace it with positive energy. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to explore this because it's a win-win for me. Like, I feel calm. Even if you fall asleep during those treatments, things are still working. And a lot of people call it, foo-foo stuff and don't really necessarily believe in it. But listen, when I got my Reiki Master Certificate and I started doing Reiki sessions on some of my buddies who are, we're all, at the end of the day, like combat tested, battle hardened veterans, you know what I mean? And some of these guys are just, oh man, like, what did you do to me, right?
Yeah.
And they love it, you know what I mean? And so that's just that first initial time that old lady, and I wish I remembered her name, but I don't. But she literally put me on my path of like some type of spiritual journey, emotional, energetic journey. It's that, now you get the guy you see before today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I like that you were open to it. And I think that it's cool that you were able to shift your mind. It reminds me of a reel that I actually saw the other day that it really resonated with me, where it was like this cowboy, you know, like badass dude kind of sitting there in front of the fire talking with a thick accent, you know. But what he said was really profound, in that he was talking about how many of us, especially when we're younger, we have the tendency to focus on like maybe just going to the gym and trying to look good and trying to like take care of my body and everything. But he's like, that is only 1/3 of a man.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not focusing on the mind and training their mind. Or maybe they're not focusing on the spiritual side, the spiritual aspect of it. We've heard this a million times, right? Mind, body, spirit.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of us don't understand that to a deep level. But it's when you get these moments, like you're talking about, the Reiki, where it's like, or Reiki, where all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow. Like there is definitely more to this. Right. Let me go down that rabbit hole, where all of a sudden you're realizing another third of your embodiment, you know? I think that, man, I urge anyone who is watching this to maybe take a step back and explore what that could be like for you, regardless of your situation. If you're even in combat or deployed or whatever it may be, at home in garrison, it doesn't matter. Those sorts of preparations that you can take, if you can get ahead of it, nothing's going to faze you.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Just, you know, like you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be combat, you know, soldiers dealing with post-traumatic stress, right? It's literally tools to just help you conduct your everyday life better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it clears your mind. It relaxes your energy. It allows you to be open to receive more information, I truly believe.
Yeah.
And you know, you ever walk into a room and you start feeling sick, that's because there's bad energy in that room. It's a real thing, you know what I mean? When you're able to walk into places and you have that positive mindset, you know, your energy's clear and you're walking through places, people actually attract to you. You just start noticing people coming up to you more. Or I'll just meet someone for the first time and they'll just start pouring their story out to me out of the blue. It's like, dude, I don't even know you. Right. Telling me your life story. Why is that?
Let's pause on that for a second. This is huge, because what you're actually describing, I think a lot of people think that, oh, energy, hippie. Think about when you see someone walk in the ring and their body is hunched over, their arms are crossed, their eyes maybe are a little bit squint. We are masters of radiation of body language. Absolutely. We are, whether we want to admit it or not. It's physical just as much as it is an energy. Mm-hmm. If you smile at somebody, if you laugh, or you laugh easily, these are energies that we're putting out in the world. So when we say energy, I mean, I don't want people to say, oh God, all right, here we go. No, it is just the feeling that you make someone feel. It can be that simple. What do you make people feel? Are you open? Are you someone who's willing to hear someone else? People can sense these things. I think that when like this idea of energy gets kind of this bad rep, if you will, but it can be that simple.
Oh yeah.
You know? Yeah. Are you someone that's really anxious because you're spinning your mind on things all the time? I know that was something I struggled with for a while, was anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And it was when I could learn how to melt that away that I could be open to having conversations with people, and a lot of things changed.
Yeah.
So it's not this, oh, you're giving off these quantum field energies, and maybe it is, who knows? But you know, like it's,
I do this all the time.
Right. Well, I meet people are like this. but right, like it's like, are you generally an approachable person?
Yeah.
Goes a long way.
That's the key. It really is. You know, there was a point in my life, in my transition now, I only wanted to be surrounded by other veterans. Mm. And I didn't think the everyday civilian would understand me, right? But I found that everybody has some form of trauma in their life.
Yeah, sure.
100%.
And that's purely subjective.
Purely subjective,
yeah.
Right? The worst day of someone is the worst day of someone.
Yeah.
A dog attack, right? Could be, maybe to me, oh, dog bit me the other day, right? But to someone else who got attacked by a dog, it's probably, you know, there's wounds and scars emotionally that will be there forever.
Absolutely.
And so I don't judge anybody on anything, but what I do know is that everyone has some form of trauma.
That's right.
So if I'm able to open up that conversation and have that dialect with them and just see that, hey, we all struggle a little bit, you know what I mean? And let's talk, you know what I mean? Like, let's have a conversation. And kind of feels like that's what happens, you know. I mean, you meet someone, you have conversations, this and that, and as long as you're pretty open with it, your conversations take these weird twists and turns, and then you end up just knowing about people, and then that's how friendships and bonds are formed.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy because I didn't know how to do that when I got out. I mean, you know what I mean? I was in a combat unit, so in my day, we weren't surrounded by women. You know what I mean? A whole 7.5-year military career, the only woman I seen was in the S shop in like the supply closet. You know what I mean? That was literally it. So even transitioning from 7.5 years of almost not speaking to women in general at all, like you have to start reprogramming yourself.
Yeah.
Be able to have normal conversations where you're not having, you know, vet to vet conversations that are sometimes borderline most of the time inappropriate in some way or fashion. And you gotta learn how to re-engage with like civilian life, but also like maybe even the opposite gender, you know?
I don't know if I told you, but when I first got out, like to me, I'll ask you actually in a bit, but like one of the things that I didn't realize at the time was going to be the biggest struggle for me was actually just learning how to talk to civilians.
Oh yeah.
Like that was one of the biggest struggles for me because I got out Marine Corps, right? Yep. And like, to your point, I mean, it's 9 times out of 10 locker room talk.
Yeah.
And I go to this first, you know, company that I was at. Luckily, most of them, there were a lot of Marines there, right?
Yeah.
But I remember having this conversation with somebody saying, oh, you can't talk like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. But man, like what an eye opener.
It's wild.
You know? And if we're not receptive to that, I mean, that can go south really, really quick.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I think that probably the point that is worth hammering on underneath all of that is taking ownership.
Yeah.
Like taking ownership over our own, I don't know, self, like in the way to conduct ourselves. And that leads to our success.
Yeah.
We can sit there and point our finger all we want, but all we're actually doing is giving our power away.
Right.
If it's your fault, now I don't have power anymore to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
If I take that ownership and I say, no, this is something that I can change, I can affect, even if it's just a little.
Right.
I now have power to do something about it. So I want to shift back to like, we're getting out of the military now. You're getting out, you know, under not the pretenses you probably expected to get out under.
Yeah, I planned on 20 years.
Right. Yeah. What did that do to you? What effect did that have on you?
It definitely made me depressed, obviously. Being Cav Scout, when you transition out of the military, just as a Cav Scout with maybe not a medical retirement, and you did 4 years and you're getting out. I mean, the only thing that really translates is security guard or cop. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of, and that's most combat jobs, right? Not maybe combat engineers, but at least, you know, the infantry guys, the scouts, maybe the tankers, things like that, the fisters, right? They kind of transition out and, oh, I'm going to go work security somewhere, or I'm going to become a police officer. And so that was tough for me too, because I honestly didn't feel comfortable with a weapon. It took me a while to get back into the use of things.
Yeah.
I didn't want to chance anything. I never had suicidal ideations, but what if I did it, right? Like, what? I don't think people plan to kill themselves, right? It's like, maybe it just happens. Like, I don't want to have a weapon in my house in case that happens, right? So it took me years to get comfortable enough to pick up another rifle.
Interesting.
And really go through the motions. And when I did that, you know, it obviously just wasn't, you know, me in the backyard. It was, you know, at a gun range, and, you know, I had people there who were able to, you know, support me while I was going through the motions and zeroing your rifle and things like that. But learning that was no longer going to be something that I signed up to do anymore, with absolutely being fine with giving my life to it. You know, if I die, I die. If I'm serving my country, that's what I'm doing. And now saying we no longer need you, We kind of broke you.
Yeah.
You didn't mean to, but
Mm-hmm.
you broke.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got to go, right? And having to deal with that was like, well, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? How, like, I can't have a job. I don't think I can handle an everyday job. Like, I don't have that capability. So I was expressing this to my tank commander, who was also medically retired with me. He said, hey, man, I just heard about this new program at Yale University. Let's go. I was like, Yale, what do you think I am, dude? Like, I'm a Cav Scout. Like,
You're selling yourself.
there's no schooling in my mind whatsoever. He's like, they just started this program up there, Warrior Scholar Project. Let's go. Like, a spot opened up because someone dropped. So now I told him I'd find a guy. I was like, dude, I can't handle Yale University. Like, I don't even know where it is at the time. I didn't even know. He's like, dude, Connecticut, man, come on. Like, let's go up to New Haven. Listen, if you don't like the course, like, we could just hang out and drink beers afterwards, after the classes. And they paid for us to go. I'm like, dude, sold, right? It's like, let's go, man. Like, I'm ready to go. So,
you said beer?
right? So we get up there, and very quickly, that was not an option, right? Warrior Scholar Project is a 2-week academic like boot camp. And it's reteaching veterans how to learn how to read and write, but at the Ivy League levels. And these world-renowned professors are sitting in there giving you classes in humanities and, just pure liberal arts stuff. We read Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. Wow. Yeah, dude, how do I even know the name of that book? Right. Like, I'm not that guy, But when you have these professors that get paid all this money, right? And they're some of the best professors in the country, and they're giving you the little tips and tricks and tools of how their students in their top tier universities get by with things as little. There was this book called They Say, I Say. And that book right there single-handedly helped me get through that course, because you look up what you want to say and it tells you how to properly say it on a writing look. They Say, I Say. If anyone is anything about school, pick it up. It's important. It's an important, valuable book to have. And another tool was, while you're reading, your pen should be moving, right? Underlining things in the book, highlighting, writing in the edges of the book, and everything like that. And it helped me remember stuff. I could read a page and forget it instantly.
Absolutely.
But being able to scroll through those, and then learning how to adjust to, the Yale football team came up and helped with the course a little bit, and they tutored us.
So cool.
There was no time to go out afterwards. It was literally, you're in classes from 8 a.m. to about 8 p.m. And then you're writing papers, you're studying. It's till about midnight.
Okay.
So it was highly intensive. And that was created by Jesse Rising, who was a Yale football player. Big Yale Harvard game in his senior year. He was a linebacker, laid a hit on Harvard's running back, on Harvard's running back. And, half his body went limp, and then he couldn't join the Marine Corps. He had plans to join the Marine Corps afterwards, and now he couldn't go.
Yeah.
So he went over as a contractor, got some money together, and created this program out of Yale. Cool. And then it blew up. Year 2, it went from Yale, Harvard, to University of Michigan, to University of Oklahoma, Princeton. It just blew up. So at that time, I was getting into my deal with photography and things like that. So they said, hey, for a couple of years, come out and photograph our program for us and stuff like that.
Nice.
Which was beneficial, you know what I mean? Some of my photos are on Fox News and, the Crimson and Harvard and all these great, cool things that have my photos published in. So it was great. But that course allowed me to be able to lead soldiers again, because also, you only get the quality photos you get when the veterans are studying and stuff in the dorm rooms and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm comfortable, right? Yeah. I'm a veteran too. I've been through the program, and like I feel I'm where you guys. I was there. You know what I mean? And a lot of these veterans ended up thriving and going to top tier institutions. A lot of times from the program. So now any veteran that's interested in schooling at a higher level, you know what I mean? It's an amazing program. 2 weeks during the summer, you go out to one of these whenever university's closest to you that hosts it.
Oh, there's multiple.
Oh yeah. So now it's all over.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's it literally spread like wildfire because a lot of these top tier universities, they're looking for veterans. They need veterans. You know what I mean? And like vets, a lot of veterans don't understand that you bring something to the table at that university or college that these little kids don't have, man. You got tons of life experience you can share, you know?
Yes.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah. What else do you think would bring to the table?
Oh God, muscles. Check these out, dude, right? Like, I don't know, man, but you know, a lot of great stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Muscle. Actually, I think one of the really important things that we bring, and I mentioned this on a previous podcast, but I'll mention it again because I actually think it's a really important thing that we get is this idea of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
It's that will-do attitude. I know you probably heard people say can-do attitude. I think there's a really important distinction between the word can and the word will.
Absolutely.
You know, you can come into something and you may have skills already to do something. That doesn't mean you're gonna do it, right? Whereas you might be someone who doesn't have the skills, but you're willing to figure it out.
Right.
That latter piece right there, I think is something that we have and is ingrained in us a lot of times in the military. So veterans, I think, bring that very important to the table, not just when it comes to like an academic institution, but the working world.
Anyway.
That is huge. When you were putting together a portfolio, when you were putting together an application to a job, if you can get across the idea that I'm not just can do the job, but I'm willing to do the job, very, very different mindset. And a lot of times that can be what sets you over the edge.
That's why I think a lot of veterans I wish a lot of companies, organizations and stuff like that would offer more on-the-job training because there's a veteran that might not necessarily have the degrees you're looking for. But if you offer training and train them how you want things to be done, anybody could do that. You know what I mean? Just offer on-job trainings for the jobs you're looking for. Yeah. And then you're opening up your fishnet of tons more veterans and more people that are qualified to do the job. Just because you don't have a degree doesn't necessarily mean you can't perform the duty, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. Hey, I mean, like, I thought this was really interesting. So I worked at Meta Facebook for a very, very long time, and I came in on a program called Rotational Engineer Program. And the people that came through this program are largely people who, for whatever reason, didn't meet the minimum that they would normally look for in some capacity, whether it's years of experience, maybe just miss it at an interview, something to that effect. What the idea is they give you, you know, a year kind of probation. But the idea is like you go on one team for 6 months, you have to perform at a certain level, and then you go to another team 6 months. And that program is highly successful. But the reason I think that it's so successful is you're bringing in these people that are like willing to do the job. Right. They may have been in a total. I meant finance people coming in to be an engineer. I mean, shit, I was in the Marine Corps and here I am coming in to be an engineer. Like, you know, that I think that's a really just important concept. I wish I would love far and wide, spread it to your friends. I just think that's an amazing aspect of life.
It really is.
So, all right, you got out, you went to Yale. What did that open up for you?
Oh, it opened up so many opportunities because leaving that program, I mean, my LinkedIn friends is fat. You know what I mean? Like, I got Yale professors. I got like so much networking happen from being a part of those programs.
Network.
And it absolutely could have went further if I didn't want to just be home and be with my kids. Sure. You know what I mean? When my buddy died, he left 2 boys, twins at home, you know, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
Halfway through my deployment, my first son was born. And I was like, I got to be there. I got to be in his life, at least for the honor of my buddy. I need to take care of my kid, bro. I changed it completely. Yeah. And it's a problem because it made me hesitate. You know what I mean? Like after that son's born, you notice a hesitation in everything you do because you're like, I want to come back to him, right? So it was a problem for a little bit, you know, but then hearts and minds changed halfway through the deployment, like I said. So it wasn't necessarily shoot first, ask questions later.
Right.
You know, now it was permission. Hey, we're getting shot at. Hey, can I shoot at him yet? Hey, I'm here. Can I shoot at him yet? So, you know what I mean? So it was a lot different.
Yeah.
But, no, so after that program, not only did it help me network and it helped me be able to speak with people that are just experts in their fields,
Yeah.
really pick their brain on things. And they were just as equally happy meeting us. I mean, you think, you start getting into your own feelings where you're like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, look at these people. It's how hard they work to get to these institutions of higher learning, right? Like, what am I? I'm just this dude, right? From Phillipsburg, New Jersey. What do I know? And, but it goes to show you, it shows you that there's different paths, right? There's people that came from war-torn countries that get into Yale University, right?
Yes.
There's people who were, private schooled their whole life into get to Yale University.
Yeah.
But then there's everyday people, veterans that come out of the military. Like Yale, for example, has the Eli Whitney program, and that's specifically for veterans, gear them to get into. Yeah, cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just everyday dudes who have the quality, or at least the potential, to be able to hang with the big fellas up there at Yale. And then they put them through the program and they give them tutors and stuff to succeed, right?
Yeah.
But coming out of there, it just gave me a whole new outlook on life. Like, oh, I'll be fine. I could do anything. I just got to put my mind to it and get my mind right?
Yeah.
I got to get my emotional, my spiritual well-being squared away. After that, the body's obviously last priority. But, you know what I mean? But listen, the mind and the spirit, you got to get them squared away first. You know what I mean? You could be jacked all day. You could be, a muscle bound demon, right? But if your mind and your spirit ain't right, man, like, you're just a ticking time bomb, right? And I was always, I think like Jordan Peterson or somebody said it. It was like, the best kind of man, and I'm completely tearing it apart.
That's okay. I don't know if you noticed in show notes, we have a section that says quotes attempted to be quoted.
Oh, yeah?
So
that's great. So Jordan Peterson said, like, the best kind of man is one who's capable of violence, but learns how to control it. Something like that, right? So it's like, being able to have control of your own mental is one of the most important things, especially as veterans, to be able to get through the rest of your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And only you can fix it. I'm a hardcore therapy. I promote therapy as much as I can. I go every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks is my comfort zone. A little longer than that feels a little too long for me, right? And then I forget half the shit anyways, because my mind's all messed up, right? So I forget half the shit I'm mad about, right? But then 2 weeks, 1 week, it's way too much, right? I got other groups that I could do for that. But the 3 week period for me is the most solid way I can go out to a therapist, speak my mind about just daily things that bother me, but also a little of the internal struggle that I still have. And that's the best. Like, literally, it helps me just get through the days, get through the months, get through the weeks, get through the years.
Right.
And
is this just talk therapy, or is it like CBT? I mean, like,
I'll continue with where I'm going with this. But after the Warrior Scholar Project, finally retired out, moved back to the area, Wing Gap, like I said, and nice peace and quiet, just living a retired life. Then I was like, now I'm bored. I don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So I start going to the VA, and I'm trying things that they might have. I'm like, hey, is there hypnosis? Like, let me try to get some hypnotherapy going, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Tried that out. Don't know if it worked or not. I think it might have worked for 2 or 3 weeks. It felt a little different, but I think that's something that continually has to be done. But then I started hearing about, chapter 33, chapter Voc Rehab, right? And I decided, hey, I'm gonna go back to school a little bit, figure things out. I don't know what I want to do, but something that's gonna put a little extra money in my pocket, right, while I'm trying to figure life out. And so I chose photography, and I ended up just going to Bucks County Community College just to check it out a little bit. Voc Rehab paid for all my equipment, all the cameras, studios, laptops, books, book bags, just everything.
So how do you qualify for Voc Rehab?
Voc Rehab, I believe you have to have a certain percentage. I don't know the exact percentage of it. It crossed my mind. I want to say,
I think it's 10%.
10%?
Yeah.
Once you qualify for that, you'll get with the Voc Rehab counselor. And that part is absolutely crucial to have a solid, successful relationship with your Voc Rehab person. A a lot of them, they're kind of in control of your future when it comes to rehab.
Yeah.
So if they give you a list of things you have to accomplish before you see them again, get those things accomplished, right? Because they're going to make or break you. And when I showed up the first time to Voc Rehab, and I already had the school I want to go to, the degree I wanted to pursue, how my, what my plans were for getting there, then it was kind of, oh, what do you need, right?
You showed them that you're willing to do the work.
Absolutely, right?
Yes.
And normally when they see, and believe it or not, they run into a lot of veterans on a daily basis. And I think more times than not, they see veterans that are just like, hey, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And then that's all they hear from them, right? So it's just like, oh, I'm thinking about it versus, hey, I'm doing this, right? I can or I will, right? I will do this. This is what I'm doing. And then, they told me to get with a couple predominant photographers in the area.
Cool.
Gather a list of equipment you might need. Submit them to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, they probably spent about $25,000 on equipment, everything I would need for school, which was mind-blowing.
Yes.
I was like, why isn't everyone doing this?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Voc Rehab, by the way, I highly recommend looking it up. If you're getting out and you have any sort of disability rating at all, and it may even be just like 0%. I have to look it up. I'll drop it in the show notes. But like that, it's a cheat code. If you're getting out, check out Voc Rehab.
I mean, and listen, with Voc Rehab too, it's not just say you only want to go to school to get an associate's degree. You're not putting that on the Voc Rehab, right? You're saying I want to pursue a bachelor's, maybe even a master's, because they can always add to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if your ceiling is an associate's degree, they're going to say, well, we're not funding further education, right? So it's always, oh, you want to go get a degree in, I don't even know, painting or something, right? It's like, no, you want to go get a master's degree in paint because you want to get a master's in fine art because you want to potentially, teach at a university, right? Or something like that. My buddy used Voc Rehab to go to law school, and they paid for suits. They paid for suitcases for this guy.
It's much beyond like the GI Bill. Now, GI Bill was like just schooling. Voc Rehab, like they paid for a computer for me, like they were paying housing. Yeah, I'm totally with you on it. It's a fantastic program.
The great thing with Voc Rehab too is even if you have one day of GI Bill left, you can use Voc Rehab. You just need to maintain. You can't completely use the GI Bill up. Just have one day of it left.
Yeah,
and then you can use it.
I love that, man.
It's great. So I went through that. Went through the process of that. Then I got out of there with this new great, just skill that I've picked up, right? Which was photo, video. And, I did that for a while. Then I ended up getting, my 100% permanent and total. And then that kind of died down a little bit. I ended up going through, individual unemployability because I still had problems with communicating with people. I still had problems with dealing with authority. You know what I mean? And, once they gave me my 100 permanent and total on IU, which is individual unemployability, then I was like, well, I can't do this as a business, right? Like I can't. So now I just do it, for other veterans that might need photos, maybe family photos, maybe headshots, just things, hey, here's my, thanks, man. Right? Like, thanks for your service. Here you go. And, then I started really exploring what is my life purpose, right? Then I started taking my Reiki classes and started getting certified. I completed Reiki level 1. Then I moved into level 2. And through this time, it is an energetic shift. You are trying to, and, I'm like this lost puppy where I'm like, I got all this knowledge. I don't know what to do with it. I got everything I need. Like, what do I do? And then, it sounds corny, but I meditated a lot. You know what I mean? And meditation literally just, no more than 10 minutes, right? I'm not Gandhi, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can only do 10 minutes. Okay. And then I hear horns honking and, it just throws me off. But, I sit there and I think, what's my life purpose? What am I supposed to do? I'm looking for answers. And, I said, I'm going to reach out to one of my buddies, I'm going to reach out to one of my buddies, on the little Facebook group that we have from our old unit, just to check in and see how guys are doing. I reach out to one of my buddies. He's struggling, full blown alcohol, just alcoholic, right? Can't get things squared away with the VA, struggling. He's drinking because he can't get a job because of his post-traumatic stress, and he just doesn't know what to do. His family's falling apart. I'm like, listen, man, like, what's the core problem here? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What's going on, dude? He's like, well, obviously the combat, but like, I can't keep a job. I'm like, dude, I'm on IVU. Try it. Here's the paperwork. We'll Zoom, right? No, I think it was Skype back then. It was Skype, right? We'll Skype.
Yeah.
And, I'll walk you through this. Let's just get the paperwork filled out, right? And he submitted it. He ended up getting it, which was back then, the VA system was pretty fast. I think he got it in like 6 months, which is pretty fast. And started living life great, right? Started getting sober and stuff, but then the demon still caught up with him. 2 years later, he took his life. And that hurt. You know what I mean? It hurt a lot because you're like, I'm right. I rekindled this relationship. I put effort and time into this guy and I couldn't save him. And that bothered me.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't have this happen again. Like, I have to help veterans and make sure that they're completely set up for success, but also still be around, still be reachable, still be, not just, here you go, man, see you later. It really has to be a transition to where you're in their lives for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to make sure everything's everything. And then when they're comfortable enough, they'll die off. You know what I mean? Like, they'll slowly start, I'm good. I'm so happy. Sorry, I don't have time to call you, man, but I'm doing this with my kids.
Yes.
That's my wife.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, please.
I'm glad you're there.
I am so happy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, go do that. You're not, dude, call me whenever. Just know I'm here.
Yeah.
Right? So once that started happening, I was like, okay, I need to get involved in helping veterans. So for a long time, I just started running into veterans and just helping them here and there. And then I started wanting to explore volunteering for nonprofits and things like that. So then I started really jumping into that realm, at least in the community, and just exploring what's out there, what nonprofits are out there helping out guys and like legitimately helping out guys.
Yeah.
And I ended up landing with a nonprofit that just wasn't right fit for me. Just seeing some of the things. So I stepped away from that. And I was like, maybe not, right? Nonprofits is a weird thing to navigate, you know what I mean? It's almost like high school again sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of nonprofits in one area, some of them do the same things, but it's like they're all grabbing for the same funds.
Yeah.
And that's complicated, right? Because then you're losing sight of the actual reason you started your nonprofit, which I help veterans, right?
Yes.
So I was like, oh, I'll step back a little bit from that. I could just help veterans by myself. Like, people know my name. They know my name spreads out a little bit if I help a couple people and then a couple people turn into more. But then I was approached for Northampton County for starting a veterans court. And I was like, that sounds pretty interesting. Yeah. What's the deal with that?
Mm-hmm.
And so Northampton County Veterans Court is basically, it's one of the 3 treatment courts that they have. They have a mental health court, they have a drug and alcohol court, and then they have the Veterans Court. So Veterans Court is kind of a mix of the two, mental health and drug and alcohol, but it's only for veterans.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
And what that is it could be based on a deferment, where veterans, in lieu of their charges, are going through the Veterans Court.
Oh, okay.
Depending on what the charge is, right? Every single person's different. Or there's some situations where they can still come in the Veterans Court, but they're going to get charged depending what that charge is, right? And what it is, it allows 18 to 24 months of a veteran to have a mentor like me, or a mentor like some of my other guys that I have on the team, and allow us to really work with them for almost 2 years and really sit there and find out, well, why'd you get a DUI?
Right.
What's that root cause? Right?
What's the problem?
I understand you're dealing with alcohol issues and you start going through the sobriety process, but that's face value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is all that happening?
Right.
And let's figure out why that's happening and let's address that at the core level.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's usually 3 things. It's financial insecurities, right? That lead people to go down the paths they go down, or to at least stop caring or trying to control it, right?
Right.
But then you also have the loneliness. So many veterans are lonely because they were a part of that fraternity.
Right.
They come out, all their friends are from all different parts of the country. Sure, it's not like they're there with them unless you're staying next to a base or something, right? But it's the loneliness. But then also, it's the purpose.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
Yes.
Right? They have no drive.
Right.
And like mistakes happen when that happens. I'm a product of that. Mistakes happen.
Yeah.
You know? And once we're able to get a real good grip on that, and we're able to identify the leaders, we're able to identify the people who want to give back. Once we identify the people who might, getting them a job is all it took, right? Getting them financially, getting them a raise in their VA percentage, or getting them stuff they're entitled to, but they didn't know how to do the paperwork, right?
Sure.
And then we surround them with a fraternity of other veterans that are in the growth process and make them all accountable for each other.
Yeah.
And when that team happens, right, when that team forms, then it's like it works itself out.
Yeah, no,
You know, it's really not that complicated, right? It's like veterans need veterans. And I don't think that'll ever change, right? Like, my best friend is a Vietnam combat vet. He's like 70 something.
Yeah.
Like
John, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Cookins.
Yeah.
Squared away. One of the best veterans and one of the best veteran advocates in the area right now. And he's like my best friend, you know what I mean? And the age difference is incredible, right? We just talked about it this morning. Call me young man. I'm like, all right. But he's my best friend, you know what I mean? Like he understands everything I talk about. I understand everything he talks about. And together we roam the Lehigh Valley and other counties, and we help veterans on a daily basis. I'm either keeping up with veterans I already spoke to, or I'm meeting new veterans literally every day.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a little outside of the vet corps, but he's one of my mentors as well. And we have about 9 guys in Veterans Court right now, and they're all thriving. Like it's crazy how 9 individuals came into a court at different times, and now they're all the closest that I mean, you would think that they knew each other for years and years and years.
That's amazing.
We all go bowling together. We do activities, cool, team building things. And
what does that do for them?
It gives them a purpose again, and a sense of like, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. And, it makes them want to be better for each other rather than I'm just trying to get through this, right? So I can be done with vet court. Like, there's not one person in there that thinks that way. Some of them don't want to leave vet court because they think then that's it, right?
Yeah.
Now I lost that group again.
So do you have an off-ramp for that?
We're working on it. So vet court is about a year and a couple months old now. Still in its infancy stages, trying to work out kinks here and there, but we're setting up plans for that, you know. Post-graduation, there's going to be some kind of, whether it's an alumni page on like Facebook, maybe like a private page, or, you know, we have group chat where, you know, they can still be in contact with each other and things like that, but we just got to get one that's a little more focused, that maybe even, you know, some of the people on staff could be a part of. Yeah. They don't want to be in a group chat, trust me. Those group chats get pretty...
I'm sure.
But no, just some place where they don't feel like I'm done now and now I'm abandoned again.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to be, hopefully it's a lifelong process and then also I'm looking to get the ones who identify as leaders and want to help give back, to get them going from vet court right into being mentors. And that's one of the goals I have too.
I like that.
Yeah.
One of our, I think, second episode, TJ Carson's on, and we talked about, you know, his model and how over at Victory House, they are about doing a similar thing, identifying leaders and helping create leaders. I think it's commendable, man. I mean, like, that to me is one of the strongest marks of a leader, is creating leaders.
Leaders lead.
Yeah.
Leaders lead, they create leaders.
Yeah.
You know, that's right. The way it is. And TJ's the man. I mean, he's the one that introduced us. And I mean, I've known TJ for a while, but once he started taking over Victory House and stuff like that, I'm like, dude, anything you need, you know.
Yeah.
You got veterans that are just having a bad day that need someone to talk to, like, hit me up, man.
Right.
I'll come up there.
Oh, man. So what does that do for you?
It helps me with my own shit. You know what I mean? Honestly, like, being able to help others allows me to really put things in perspective for myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm some prize. You know what I mean? Prize, right? But prize, right? But no, I don't think I'm like necessarily the person that should be out there giving advice, and I'm the cock of the walk, right? But I've been where they're at. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys who were like, they come up to me and Freddie, what do you do when you don't feel emotions, right? It's like, I've been there, dude.
Yeah.
I've been there for years.
Yeah.
Where you did nothing gives you an emotional reaction. But then then the guys who are transitioning and actually starting the growth process, now they're flooded with emotions. Now they're like, why am I crying in the shower? Why am I doing these things that I don't understand what I'm doing? It's like, dude, I've been there, man. It's a part of the growth. You should be happy this is happening.
Yeah.
But now I can't stop crying, dude. I cry all the time. Star Spangled Banner. I'll cry right now on this podcast. No, but like, everybody, and the great thing about having groups and things like that, like on Wednesday nights, we have a first responders and trauma group that is ran by Ben Yopes and Justin, right? And then I kind of help when on-off weeks and things like that, so they don't get burned out, right? So it's like we do it every week, every Wednesday, off Shonersville Road at Steps to Recovery building. And from 6 to 7:30 p.m., it started last year with 4 guys, and now we're at 35 and growing.
Yeah.
But I mean, from Vietnam combat vets all the way to Iraq, Afghanistan vets who's never been to combat, but they still have some form of trauma.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And first responders, cops, firemen, medics, just all these people that came in here and said, this isn't necessarily the type of group we're used to. It's a trauma-based group, but, I feel like I could be myself. Like it's not war stories.
Yeah.
Like it's actual growth is happening.
Yeah.
And everyone's in a different part of that stage.
Yeah.
So when there's someone that comes in there with some kind of problem, it's like, dude, I've been there, or, oh, I'm there too. What did you do to get through it? Right. And it's just like that. So much information gets passed around. And again, built like a tribe, right? Like that's why we created these shirts, tribe mentality, because we're all accountable. Anytime one of them reaches out in the group chat, I need a ride home from the VA. Is anybody around? It's like, boom, it's done. You know what I mean? It's like we're all there for each other no matter what. And I think that's the best part about that group, honestly.
This has been a theme that's come up multiple times, and people that I've talked to, veterans. You mentioned the loss of purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And I see this come up where it's that giving back piece and remembering, because it's what it is. It's remembering, right? Why did you do this in the first place?
Right.
You did this to contribute. You did this to give back. And realigning to that is healing. And I hear it over and over, and I appreciate you bringing it up again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, like I said, I didn't really have the mindset to join the military. Now, before me, I have 2 older sisters. So my middle sister, she joined the military. And she was there in Iraq in 2003. And, they said women weren't in combat back then, but she was absolutely in combat. She was an 88 Mike truck driver with the Big Red One in Germany. And she drove in combat. Like she got hit, with stuff. And she came out of it in the same situation I was, where it's like you got this PTSD, you don't know what to do with it, but you don't want people to know, kind of. So you're kind of keeping it a secret, but while you're keeping it a secret, you're dying inside, right? Like it's a hard thing to navigate. And I can imagine probably for a woman, it's 10 times worse. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to put on this brave face, right? And you're trying to like make sure everything's fine, and like you could still get out there, and the things that women deal with in the military is far greater.
And it's an additional,
you know what I mean?
I totally
terrible.
Yeah.
And so I've always, like, it always hurt me, you know what I mean, to see her suffer the way she did. And so with that, like, she joined, and then my aunt was in the Air Force. She was a pilot. And then my both grandfathers were both World War II veterans. So I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense. And I remember in like 10th grade, maybe 10th grade, I was in the library one morning, and then 9/11 happened, right? And they throw it on the TV, and you see the second plane hit.
Never forget that.
And my Spanish teacher, Mr. Figueroa, which is crazy, I know that name. He was like, you'll remember this day the rest of your
Yeah,
lives.
absolutely.
And I was like, okay, but I still remember
Absolutely.
through all the memory loss and all the percentages I have, right? I still remember that day.
Right.
And I remember that day where I actually felt impacted by something. I was like, who would do this? Like, I got to do something about that, right? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So that kind of started my thoughts of like, maybe I'll join the military.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
yeah, so there was a deeper part of you trying to get back.
so I guess, right?
Yeah,
Because I was irritated by it. And as a kid, you know, I'm not irritated by much. You're just living life and taking cooking classes in high school because you don't want to do wood shop because you want to be around girls more, right? So it's like, you know, like I'm scared not much, right? Trying to be a teenager, right?
Yeah.
But no, that when that happened, it literally stood out, and then it kind of sat in my mind for a long time. And then once I seen she joined, then I was like, all right, I'm probably gonna go.
Yeah.
Like when I'm done with school and stuff, and then selling cell phones got old. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make that.
Sure.
Yeah, let's pull the triggers.
We're getting close to time here. I'm curious, when you were getting out, like at that time, what did you feel was the most important thing for you to take care of? Like, what was the biggest hill to climb as you were getting out? What was your mentality?
Poof. The biggest thing getting out that I knew was getting the mind right.
And what? So getting
the mind right. Like that was the most important thing. You know, figuring out moving, figuring out where you're gonna stay. Like that's all little things. It might seem like big things, you know. Is the Army gonna lose my stuff when they ship it home? You know.
And you knew that at the time?
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so looking back, would you agree with that? Was that?
Oh,
that's okay. That's amazing. You're the first person to actually give you something that in your mind, and maybe it was because of why, but
yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I do think that getting the mind right and making sure your mindset and that is the most important thing. The thing I hear most often is that it was money or job.
Yeah.
Or, you know, security, right? And if you look at my Maslow hierarchy of needs, right, like it makes sense. It's like you have to build on that.
Right.
I commend you on thinking that that's like where you got to start because you're right.
It had to be that way because I've always seen people with money.
Yeah.
I've always seen people who had everything they've ever wanted and miserable as fuck.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Why are you so, and I think, why are you so miserable? Dude, if I had all this money, I'd be the happiest guy in the world.
But money.
Again, people struggle, right? And if you don't check in with yourself and check your own ego, put everything else to the side and say, I'm the person that needs to fix myself. I could go to therapies. I could do any type of spiritual healings, like sound healings and, you know, tuning fork sessions and all these different modalities to try to self-heal. Like, you have to do it.
Yeah.
It can't be a therapist will only take you to the door, right? You gotta.
That's right. That's right. Lead horse to water.
And, you know, then when I ended up getting with Veterans Brotherhood, the reason I got with Veterans Brotherhood is because I looked at that organization and they're truly out there helping veterans. They're identifying homeless vets and providing temporary housing for them. And we get them in a Victory House with TJ, or we get them at the Valor, or we get them, you know, with Catholic Charities and Kevin McLeod, where he helps them get squared away.
Nice.
And we do that. We also provide financial insecurity. You know, we help them with that financial stability. So everyday needs, cars are breaking down, oil in the house.
Yeah.
It's more along the lines for these older vets that are like, they don't have percentages because no one's ever walked into the VA, right?
Yeah.
These are Vietnam guys that are still kind of hard-nosed and don't need help from anyone, but they're struggling. But they'd rather struggle than ask for help. Sure. So it's our job to kind of reach out to them as well and kind of be like, hey, man, like, we're here for you.
That's awesome.
Right? So we're doing that. We're helping, and then we're doing the mentorship stuff. And that's the vet court, but it's also just everyday guys out there that are looking to be a part of another fraternity. Yeah. Right. And we put them in touch with other veterans who are also in the growth process. Right. Because that's all we want to be. And we all give them this book, Struggle Well. You know what I mean? And this book is focused on post-traumatic growth. Right. But no, the book is an amazing read, and it focuses on post-traumatic growth rather than just dealing with post-traumatic stress. Right? Yeah. And that it was so successful that, like, I had to email him. Kevin Falk is a guy who runs the Boulder Crest Foundation in Virginia. And I sent an email to their customer service. I was just like, hey, I don't know if you know this, man, but your book impacts lives. Like, I don't plan to hear from you, but it'd be cool one day if you could like Zoom a conference with us and like the guys should just tell you how, your book impacted them. The next day I get an email from him and he's like, oh, I'm driving up there. Like, let me know a date. And he came up and like, he met with us and he's a retired Master Chief in the Navy, like over 1,000 combat missions, EOD guy. So like he understood everything, but it's a solid book for veterans and first responders.
So great segue. Yeah. The next question is, what are some books that were like your favorite books? What would you recommend? Obviously this one.
Obviously Struggle Well, but there's a couple other books. They're not Goosebumps either. But
read a lot of Goosebumps.
I read tons. Dude, Camp Jelly Jam. Oh man, don't get me started. But
RL, we love you.
Yeah. Right? But no, I'd say start with Struggle Well first. You know what I mean? There's other books, but they get a little more. I'm an audiobook guy. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
This is actually one of the books that I've actually read front to cover in a long time. I like listening to audiobooks when I'm at the gym and stuff.
Yeah.
I listen to them when I sleep. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I feel like I retain the information.
Interesting.
I really do. Yeah. Now I have to replay it while I'm awake.
Yeah.
Right? Depending where I'm at. But I'll start remembering like, oh, I heard this already.
Interesting.
Right? It's
crazy,
right?
Yeah,
crazy how things work.
Yeah.
But no, like I'd say start with this first. I can't give too many book recommendations because honestly I don't read that many books.
Okay.
But if they say I say for the university and the school guys, if you want to dabble in Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America, if you're looking for humanities.
Are you now listing all the books you've read?
No,
just kind of
I'm sorry, not a book, dude. But Empire to Summer Moon, right? No, The Struggle Well is kind of like every person I've given that book to, they read the first 15 pages and they're like, I feel like this is written about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And really, right off the bat, it gives you kind of slap in the face, real world of like, oh, like, this is me. Like, this is the thing I'm feeling. And it makes you read the rest of it.
Right.
So I definitely say go with that first.
What about podcasts?
Oh, God, I listen to so many podcasts.
What's your favorite?
Honestly, my favorite is, what is the name? Why can't I remember the name of stuff now?
Because you're on camera.
Yeah, that's probably what it is, right? It's this history podcast, right? And
is it Hardcore History?
Hardcore History. Yeah, that's it.
That's a good one.
And like listening to like, the Genghis Khan era and all those things. Like, I love history.
Yeah.
I just love it. And Hardcore History, and it's explained in a way that helps me retain it, right? And I like that. A lot of information-based podcasts. A lot of people, obviously, everyone loves Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I like to follow the professors and stuff that he has on, right?
Nice.
And not even necessarily ones I have the same views on. It's, like, different ones as well. And I'm like, good for you. I love hearing both sides of the aisle. You know what I mean? Like, I thrive in that information.
That's beautiful.
Great information that comes from both ends.
Yeah.
And then, it's your choice as a person to pick which one to retain the information.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So... absolutely. And obviously the prize podcast.
Obviously.
Once you asked me to be on there, I started looking up the other ones. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, what's this guy doing here?
I appreciate that. Yeah, man. I guess the last thing, and we covered a bit of this, but if there was one resource you wish that all veterans heard of, or if you had like one bit of advice, for someone who is getting out like now, and it doesn't need to be to the veteran, it could be to their families.
Yeah.
What would that be?
I would definitely say when you're getting out and you understand where you're going and where you're relocating to, start looking up the organizations in your area that provide certain things.
Yeah. How can people get a hold of you?
So you could definitely look us up on the Veterans Brotherhood Lehigh Valley Chapter Facebook page, which is just facebook.com Veterans Brotherhood Lehigh Valley.
Cool.
And you can reach me there. Also, my email, freddyreed40@gmail.com.
Oh, man.
And
we get so many messages.
Yeah. Well, that's the goal. Just no pics, please.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, no.
Oh, I should have said that either. But no, that's where you can reach me for anything. Any veterans have any type of questions, navigating anything whatsoever. Resources, information on how to get, questions about paperwork with the VA, anything like that. Just anything and everything, we can figure out how to help you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you being raw and and sharing your experience and providing an example to people who are getting out that may think it's just them.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's a lot of times why people don't go and seek the help, because they realize, or they think that they're the only ones going through what they are, when in fact it's just not true at all.
Right.
As always, I appreciate you, watching this podcast. If you had any questions or comments or feedback, or there's people that you think that we should bring onto the show, or you've questions that you think we should ask, please drop them in the comments. And as always, please like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. Lastly, I wanted to say thank you to my voc rehab counselor, Angie. You made a huge impact on my life, because as I was going through everything and thought that I was alone, getting out not on my own accord, you helped me find purpose in my life and struggle well. So thank you. See you all.